Hello, Cannabis family, wherever you're watching us from. We hope you're having a beautiful day. Hello, mister. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. And how to the guests out there? Hope you guys are doing well and feeling awesome. How
are you?
How's
it?
How's it? Great. So what do we have today?
Yes, we've got a busy show today. Busy show. Tell the people what we're going to do today.
So there's a CTAA launch for legal bid to challenge scheduling. So that's one of the things that we're going to be unpacking today. And then also Cannabiz South Africa, or Cannabiz Africa, has launched the first political party survey in regards to South African elections. That's going to be exciting.
To see who's in for the big smoke and who's not. Huh?
Yeah, I just hope the Dacha party got in their application in, and so we can see the green on the box and tick X for yes. And then also there's big concerns of big pharma seeking to control the South African cannabis industry, because that's currently what we're feeling with all these foreign internationals coming into our midst.
Yeah, absolutely. Quattro says that hemp plans for the Eastern Cape won't undermine traditional cannabis farmers, which, if memory serves me correctly, is a little bit of a contradiction to what they said before when they said they didn't care.
They didn't care.
So obviously the PR company's got involved and gone, guys, we need to flip this around and put out a press release, even though it's not necessarily the truth. But anyway, more about that.
Don't annoy the locals.
That's all the locals. Cannabis Cup is a new Cannabis Cup taking place in Limpopo province. We're going to be crossing to them live to find out more about how that's going to go down. And that's it. So without further ado, we're going to cross to Limpopo province to our newsman of the hour, of the minute, Mr. Brett Hilton-Barber, live from Limpopo. Over to you.
Grab your passports.
Hey, welcome. Good day from the Canosphere News Desk here in Limpopo, where it's all happening. And breaking news is what we start with. The Cannabis Trade Association Africa has launched an application challenging the scheduling restrictions on cannabis products. This was confirmed just hours ago this morning by lawyer Paul Michael Kieshel on a webinar hosted by Cheeba's Cannabis Craft TV and carried live on DSTV channel 263. He said the respondents were the Department of Health and the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority, that's SAPRA, but only the Health Department had so far confirmed receipt of the legal challenge. The CTAA says there's a crisis in the cannabis industry because proposed cannabis laws are out of line with the Constitution and the National Cannabis Master Plan, and South Africa is turning a potential massive opportunity into a stillborn disaster. At the center of the challenge is the way cannabis is scheduled under the Medicines Act. As Dr. Shiksha Gallo told panelists this morning, there's not been a single recorded death from cannabis. Why is it in the same schedule as opioids? More stories from this breakthrough television webinar on CannabisAfrica.com later today. And talking of CannabisAfrica.com, and I have a vested interest there, obviously, with South Africa gearing up for municipal elections on November 1 this year, we're launching a survey of political parties to find out exactly where they stand on cannabis. Neither the ANC nor the DA make any mention of cannabis in their election manifestos, but both appear to favor the developing the cannabis economy. The ANC in the Eastern Cape is firmly behind the legalization of adult use cannabis, but ANC leaders in the Justice Cluster appear to be opposed to reform at all costs. So that's going to be an interesting one to watch. The party that is unambiguously behind legalization is the EFF. Julius Malema called for outright legalization back in 2016, but said he was not a cannabis user after a bad teenage experience. Let me tell you, he said in an interview that he had got so stoned at the age of 16 and made such a mess of the family kitchen in Polokwane that his mother beat him, and he's never wanted to have that experience repeated. However, he said cannabis was less dangerous than alcohol, and his mother by all examples, and said he supported its controlled use. Stakeholders have raised concern that legalization will end up with the South African marijuana industry under the control of Big Pharma, the catch-all phrase for multinational pharmaceutical interests. The concern was raised in Parliament by the chairman of the Justice Committee, Bolelani Magushini, and has been highlighted by the Cannabis Trade Association of Africa, which says the only interests protected by current legislation are those with deep pockets. I asked cannabis consultant Ayanda Bam, who's the co-founder of Friends of Hemp as well, whether our cannabis industry was in danger of being captured by big business.
I mean, that's exactly what we've got right now. So I think, as I've said before, the issue is that, we've kind of gone ahead and started paving a pathway towards something, but have not really defined the destination. It's a little bit strange because the way in which the enabling environment is, or the disabling environment in this case, is structured, it actually doesn't allow for protections or any sort of guiding principles around localization or South Africa first, or being sort of pro-poor and even in commercialization. Those kinds of considerations, I think, don't really feature. Most of it is that, because you don't have any commercialization or in effect a cannabis strategy at all, it's really difficult to chart any way forward that would ensure that we have those kinds of protections. I mean, one of the things around, protecting ourselves around some of these big industries is precisely by looking at ways of liberalizing those people who already grow in the local market. So why not start there with growers and trying to formalize them, because you already have a base.
That's Ayanda Bam, co-founder of Friends of Hemp. Quattro Canna Holdings, the company that's planning to go into hemp in a big way in the Eastern Cape, says its plans are not a threat to the traditional dacha farmers of the area. Organizations representing the hundreds of thousands of informal cannabis growers say that introducing low THC hemp into the Eastern Cape will bring down the high THC levels of the cannabis that the region is famed for. Quattro CEO Sizwe Mhlongo told Cannasphere that any hemp development would take place around Mthatha and not in Pondoland, so there'd be little chance of cross-pollination. So-called illegal farmers have called on the government to legalize their trade and protect their land races. They've raised concerns that the hemp industry will destroy their livelihood by weakening the potency of their plants. And finally, Limpopo is hitting the mainstream marijuana map with the launch of the Cannabis Cup, a competition along the lines of the Garden Route Cannabis Cup and aimed at finding the best growers in the province. The competition is the combined initiative of Cannabis Studios in Zanin and Blom Events, a cannabis education and events company. Well, here to tell us more is Lisandre Viviers and Chantel from Cannabis Studios. Lisandre, first to you, welcome to the show. How are you guys doing?
Thank you, Brett, and thank you for having us. We're doing great here.
Yeah, it's good to be speaking to somebody just down the road here in Limpopo. Now, tell me, first of all, Lisandre, if we can start with you, just give us a little bit of an overview of what Cannabis is about.
Well, we believe Limpopo is always last in line when it comes to anything. So when it comes to the events, we decided to launch the Cannabis Cup, the first ever Limpopo Cannabis Cup. Just to give you a quick overview of how it will work and how it will run, it's only for growers in Limpopo. All grow methods and genetics will compete against each other. So either if you're growing indoor, outdoor, greenhouse, hydroponics, it will all compete against each other. We will limit entries to 4 entries per person. We've opened up entries already. It's open now, and it will be open until the 31st of October. This year, entrants must be ready with their cured flower by the 1st of May next year, 2022. And the top 3 winners will receive amazing prizes. We are fortunate to already have a few leading sponsors that will be part of this. We do have space for more sponsorships. So if anybody's interested, they must just contact us before the 1st of October. And they can contact us on email info@blomclub.co.za. We've got a panel of professional industry leaders that will be a panel of judges.
Great.
All details will be sent to the growers. Yeah.
Thanks, Lisandre. We'll keep tabs on how that story unfolds. But Chantel, you and your husband Shankar took the bold step in getting cannabis set up in a conservative town like Stein. Has it been a mission to break down the stigma around cannabis?
Yes, it has been a challenge. Growing up in Zanin, we definitely knew what was coming our way, opening up the cannabis smoke studio. But you also have to take into consideration why there is the stigma around cannabis, and the misconceptions around cannabis have been deeply rooted even in the education systems. The cannabis reputation has been completely demonized, and though it may seem like a disadvantage, the truth is that we used this situation as an opportunity to educate the people about this amazing plant. And that's exactly what we are busy doing and trying to do with Cannabis Studio and the Saturday's events and all the events still to come. We are slowly but surely breaking the stigma. Not that it's easy, but we are definitely making progress.
This is an amazing thing because there's a huge thing worldwide about women and weed, and whether it's in terms of creativity, your gender has come to the fore of many of the brands that are emerging now. Is it important for you being a woman in the space, or is that not really an issue?
Well, yes, it's absolutely important. Women empowerment is a necessary right of women, and it's up to strong females and female business leaders to encourage other women to feel strong by telling them that they can do anything they want and accomplish anything.
That's amazing. And last one from me, and then Trenton, back to you. But Lizandra, both of you are expecting, which is also quite an interesting facet to this whole thing. Lizandra, how have you been handling pregnancy and cannabis?
Well, I did stop smoking cannabis, but I do believe in the importance of the endocannabinoid system and pregnancy and breastfeeding. So I am using my daily high CBD oil. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of research out there and stuff, so there's nothing I can really say, but I do believe in still getting my daily CBD or high CBD.
Okay, that's Chantal van Rooyen and Lizandra Viviers live on the link from Zanin. Thanks very much, and good luck with the Cannabis Cup, and we will keep track of the progress. Back to you, Trenton.
You know, it's funny. I was a judge on the Zootli Cannabis Cup last year, and I'm not a big smoker. You know, I'm an edibles guy, but I had to smoke like all these different strains, and I, of course, as you always do, left it till last minute, and literally had a period where I had to like smoke for 10 days in a row. Which for most people they'd be really happy about, but it was
a hard life.
I'm not a daily user, so it was quite tough. So to all those people that are judges, don't think it's such an easy job. It's quite fun, I can't say. What was fun about it actually was to look at each bud, and you have to there's a whole lot of parameters that you have to take into consideration. So rather than just like throwing it into your joint, rolling it up, you actually analyze, you smell it, you look at the texture, you look at the trichomes, and so that was quite an educational experience for me. So I quite enjoyed that, you know. So anyway, good to see all these cannabis cups. Just again reinforces the fact that this industry is just moving and moving and moving. Yeah. We have a thriving cannabis industry. Just need legislation to catch up. Right, without further ado, let's cross over to the lighter side of cannabis, to Noxy in Johannesburg. Goodbye. See you now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Canna News Lifestyle Desk with me, the Kush Queen, bringing you all things local and international lifestyle, art, entertainment, and everything else that's going on in the Cannasphere. Today, we're talking remote working and microdosing. Working from home does sound like a dream, right? Well, it did sound like a dream before COVID hit, and then we actually had to work from home. You wake up an hour later than you usually would, have a cup of coffee, make yourself a nice 5-star restaurant-style breakfast while attending Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting. And although this sounds like a really sweet escape, more and more people have actually come out to say that they've started feeling feelings of loneliness, isolation, and stifled creativity from the repetitiveness of the same routine surrounded by the same 4 walls every single day. That's where microdosing comes in. What is microdosing? Well, the term is self-explanatory, really. It's simply consuming a very low sub-hallucinogenic dose of a psychedelic substance to improve your mood or encourage creativity. So in the case of cannabis, instead of consuming a 25 milligram edible, which is sure to knock your socks off and get you in trouble, like Julius Malema messing up his mother's kitchen, you would consume around 10% of that, so like 2 milligrams, for example. Cannabis consumers all over the globe who are currently working from home and experiencing these feelings of loneliness from all of the isolating and social distancing say they've experienced the benefits of microdosing. Consumers report a massive boost in their mood, kicking depression and anxiety to the curb. Other benefits include a major creativity boost and ability to stay focused on a task whilst being able to think clearly and quickly pivot from one task to another. Sounds like a dream, right? Microdosing weed is a great option for those of you who want the benefits of cannabis without the high. We encourage anyone who's watching and curious to try it. And for those of you who have tried it while working, drop us a comment and share your personal microdosing while remote working experience with us. Or better yet, if you're a liberal boss who allows their staff to microdose, let us know about that. Has that in any way improved the productivity of your staff? We're curious about this one. Back to you guys.
The problem with microdosing is you have to find your limit, you know. So that takes a bit of experimentation, and you've got to be careful not to drop that high THC edible before you hit a Zoom meeting.
That's happened to me before, guys. It's not nice.
Don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. Naughty.
The problem is that I think that microdosing is illegal in Limpopo. We only do macrodosing around here.
Wow.
There's
Wow, you guys are living life on the edge.
I'm curious about the Julius Malema story. Is that a real story, Brett, or did you just make that up?
No, of course. I only do real stories, and that was from the archives of News 24. Because in trying to find out, and it's an interesting point, Trenton, where do political parties stand on cannabis? We know the government supports it. We know the provincial government supports it. We know that trade and industry and government departments support it all across. But in the ANC's manifesto or the DA's manifesto, there is no such, not even a mention of the word, even though they're fully committed to agro-processing and pharmaceutical industries. Yeah. It's almost like the political parties are treading cautiously around this. And I can understand in the ANC's case, because you have the likes of Becky Chelly on one side and, the likes of, the Eastern Cape government on the other side, both have strong constituencies within the ANC, and both are on opposite sides of the plant. So I think this it's going to be the ANC's response to our political party questionnaire will be the most interesting. The DA, I think, in its usual sort of liberal way, will support small businesses, will go about it. And if you look at the Western Cape, where they're in control, they've actually facilitated a lot of investment into the industry. The EFF, you know where they stand, but I have a suspicion that this might be one of the first elections anywhere in the world where there's no real opposition to cannabis. It's almost like that. I think it's already happened in the States, where there are more Republicans, for instance, who support legalization than not, whereas the Democrats would have gone down that road a while before. So I think it's going to be a fascinating new revelation of fault lines in politics, because cannabis is becoming the new politics in South Africa. It's about apartheid 2.0, as the Rastafarians have been saying. It's that they're on the receiving end of police brutality that hasn't shifted with the advent of democracy. And so I think that cannabis is going to be the new politics that's going to emerge out beyond, in the next few years. That's where the real battle lines will be drawn in society.
Yeah, it is very politicized, especially in our environment. I just can't get this picture out of my head of Julius in his red beret, which he wouldn't have had at the time, having a munchie session in his mother's kitchen. And his mother, like, I ate everything. Dad, I just can't get it out of my head. Noxy, maybe you should make some edibles for Julius and educate him on the new way of consuming cannabis. Maybe that could be something that could enlighten him to the new ways of the world.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Very cool, guys. Yeah, maybe they could storm clicks to demand more CBD products be put on the shelves.
Full spectrum. We like full spectrum. Thank you very much. None of this isolate story. But anyway, that's for another time.
Great, guys. Thank you so much. Another Cannasphere episode coming to you live from Cape Town, Johannesburg, and Limpopo. We'll be back at the same time, same place. sharing the news of what is happening in this crazy, insane cannabis industry, which is coming, whether you like it or not. Till next week, ciao.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.